Hello eye tracking community, my name is Michael and in this tutorial we will talk about what is total gaze duration. On the screen we can see an eye tracking experiment with 9 participants. We have shown them a bar chart and asked them a question. I can aggregate these scan paths and here we can see the eye movement behavior of 9 participants. We ask them to give us the value of the bar which is labeled with the label 7. So they had to start their eye movements from the center of the screen and then they went down here to the x-axis to the bar top and then they tried to get the correct value here, the corresponding value on the y-axis. A total gaze duration shows us now the summation of fixations inside an area of interest on the stimulus. So, to calculate the total gaze duration, we first have to define areas of interest. If you want to learn more about areas of interest, please also have a look at this tutorial. Working with areas of interest is easy in BlickShift Analytics. I go to the Visual Elements data source here on the bottom left, make a right click, choose Analyses and then AOI Editor. I select all the participants, I aggregate the participants, I zoom out by pressing the Control key on my keyboard and using the mouse wheel. So here we can see now the stimulus. I go to the rectangle tool here in the toolbar and I define an area of interest. Let's say like this, we call it x-axis. Then I define an area of interest here on the bar top. I call it bar top. And then a third area of interest here for the y-axis. Now we are ready to calculate the total gaze duration. I click on the area of interest editor, I make a right click, I choose Analyses and then the gaze statistics node. Let's have a look at first at one participant, so I activate only P1. And here we have the gaze statistics output. We are now interested only in the total gaze duration. I can focus the table or the analysis on this one metric just by ignoring all the others. And so we can see now here the total gaze duration for P1 for the stimulus bar chart 10a, where we have defined these areas of interest. And to understand now the correlation between the areas of interest and the gaze statistics, I can drag and drop a bit my windows around so that we can see here on the left side the area of interest map and on the right side the gaze statistics for P1. So this metric here is now given in seconds, which means that the single fixation durations have been added up so that these numbers finally are being calculated. So when we look at all the fixations inside the x-axis, we come to a total gaze duration of 366 milliseconds, so below 1 second. And here in the bar top area and in the y-axis area, we have more fixations. So for the bar top here, 1 second and 600 milliseconds in total. And here on the y-axis, 1 second and roughly 800 milliseconds when we add up all the fixation durations. I can show you the fixations in the data so that we can really see how they are being added up. I click here on the stimulus in the visualizations column. I make a right click, I choose visualizations and then scan path. I drag and drop this scan path now over to the area of interest editor. I choose here the area of interest editor and bring it to the foreground. And here we choose the gaze statistics again. And here on the left side, I just activate P1. So once again, the participant started the eye movements here somewhere in the center of the screen and then went down with the attention to the x-axis. Here we can see 2 fixations, fixation number 2 and fixation number 3. These are these 366 milliseconds in total. Then the attention went up here to the bar top and then alternated between the bar top and the y-axis. And this is being shown here in these two metrics as well. So here we can see many more fixations, like here. And when we add up all the single fixation durations inside these areas of interest, we come to this number here. Numbers are great. We can do a lot of statistical calculations with numbers and can find many great things with numbers. However, sometimes I just want to see a diagram of my numbers to get a quick impression of what is going on here. That's easy in BlickShift. I click on the Gaze Statistics node, make a right click, choose Visualizations and then Diagram. I drag and drop this diagram component over here to this Gaze Statistics node. So we have P1 again being selected. I choose here the total gaze duration, and then we can see the same numbers like what we can see here in the Gaze Statistics node. So this 1.5 seconds here in these two cases, and this 366 milliseconds for the x-axis. Can see the same here in the diagram. So the area of interest bar top is being shown here on the left with the 1.5 seconds roughly, like the y-axis area of interest, the total gaze duration for that. And then we can also see here the total gaze duration for the x-axis. Also what we can see are two other areas of interest which have been automatically being included into the table here by BlickShift Analytics. This is NA, so fixations or time duration where no fixations could be detected. In this case, all the fixations during all the time could be detected by the eye tracker. And then we have this what we call none area of interest, which means these are the fixations which are not in one of these areas of interest. So in this case, this is fixation number 1 and fixation number 4, which when we add up them comes to, again, 300 milliseconds roughly. If we want to go now further and do a statistics, we click on the Gaze Statistics node, we say Output, Export to Files. And then we can continue our analysis with an external software from here. So, in summary, a total gaze duration for an area of interest is the sum of all the single fixation durations of these fixations inside this area of interest. We define several areas of interest on our stimulus. This can be done on a static stimulus as well as on a dynamic stimulus or in VR and AR. And then we sum up all these fixation durations and show them in a gaze statistics table. At the end, I want to say some words about for what this total gaze duration can be used. Basically, it shows how much time has been spent by the participant on a specific area on the stimulus. And depending on your research question, this can mean now different things. Sometimes it can mean that here the participant, or on this area of interest, the participant needed a lot of cognitive effort to understand what is happening here or what is being shown here to me. This could be the case. On the other hand, sometimes it could just mean that the participant is being bored or just confused, and then you have to find out what does that mean for this one specific stimulus, for the design of an information visualization in this case, for example. Sometimes total gaze durations are being used, for example, to detect specific neural diseases, so that we can find out in which areas on a stimulus the participants are looking at, and then we know and then we interpret these different areas, and then we correlate these different areas of interest with some psychological models to detect or to find out a specific disease. Alternating eye movements between several areas of interest. Basically, we can say areas with a high total gaze duration mean that they have attracted the attention of the participant. And this is then very interesting, for example, in market research, where we can see, for example, imagine we have an advertisement with a person and a brand which has been shown, and we want to find out where the attention is. So did the participants of the study, so the consumers, really recognize the brand, or have they just looked at the person, for example? And depending on which message you want to send with your advertisement, it's sometimes more important to have fixations on the persons or on the brand. So it really depends on the research question you have. And for sure, I will do a longer video about total gaze duration and its interpretation in the future. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like this video, please push the like button, subscribe to our channel and activate the bell so that you'll never miss a new tutorial on this channel. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video.